So Michael O'Sullivan is with Students First, and that's a national organization with a chapter in Georgia. And you're the outreach director, is that correct, for Georgia? And they promote Students First and parental choice in education and various parental empowerment issues. So
that's right. So my name is Michael O'Sullivan. I work with Students First. How many of you have seen the movie Waiting for Superman? Oh, Nancy, I think we need to have a movie screen.
Let's do it.
We were founded by Michelle Reed, the former Washington, D.C. school chancellor, and part of what she noticed, and part of the reason for our being, is when you go to the state capitol, and this could be any state capitol in the country. When you go to the state capitol, you see all of the lobbies that are there that deal with education, and they are the teachers' associations and the teachers' unions. They're the school board associations. They're the superintendent associations. They're all of these associations that essentially desire to keep the status quo, because that's what they are. But there's no one that's actually advocating on behalf of the students and advocating for policies that will disrupt a system that is currently failing our kids. And so that's what Students First exists to be. We exist to be the voice of the parents that are fed up and of the students that need a change in the system. And so what we believe in are three pillars. We think that we need to elevate the teaching profession. We need to identify who the great teachers are and do everything we can to keep them in the classroom. We need to identify who are the ineffective teachers and train them to become great, or get them out of the classroom and find someone else that will be. Our second pillar is empowering parents, and that's giving them more school choice options so that they can find the education that best fits their kids, whether that's charter schools or private schools or whatever type of school, homeschool. But that also means giving parents more information about what's going on in their classroom, letting them know, how their kids' teachers are, how their school actually is, how this relates across the whole spectrum. Giving them more information is more power. And our third pillar is spending wisely and transparently and governing well. And all too often you see that there's ineffectiveness and there's wasteful spending and money that's not going to programs that actually improve student achievement. And so that's what we believe in. And we believe that if there's a state that is dedicated to elevating teachers, a state that's dedicated to empowering parents, and a state that's dedicated to spending wisely, that's going to be a state that's going to be succeeding in the long haul. You can already see states that have adopted this approach, and those are states like Louisiana and Florida, which used to be with us at the bottom of the rankings, 46, 47, 48 in the country, and they're skyrocketing through everybody else. They're in the teens and in the 20s. These are states that essentially said, yes, parents need to have options, and money needs to be spent well. And if there's a school board that's not doing well, something needs to happen with that school board. And so that's what we aim to do here in Georgia. Being 46th in the country is just not good enough. Having eighth graders only being 28% proficient in reading and math, that's not good enough. Having a dropout rate that's between 50 and 60%, that's not good enough. And so, what we do is we ask for people to join our movement, ask for people to become a member of Students First, and be part of 70,000 members here in Georgia that talk to the legislators, that tell them that these are important, this is our voice, listen to us. And that's what we do. And we've had success in that. Things from changing the LIFO policy, where you fire the last teacher hired regardless of how effective they are. Passing the charter school amendment, getting a relevant and efficient teacher evaluation system. There's many more things on the horizon that we can do, because where we're at right now just isn't good enough. and everything from supporting parent trigger and charter clusters making sure that charter schools have the ability, great charter schools have the ability to thrive in Georgia, to helping pay great teachers to remain in the classroom so that they don't leave, they don't become frustrated with the bureaucracy that currently exists. So that's who we are. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think the thing that makes us unique here in Georgia is the fact that we're essentially holistic in our education reform. Some groups have their niche, and like the Charter Schools Association, they are solely for charter schools, and they are great at it, and they are a tremendous partner. We look for education reform across the whole spectrum. And so if there's an area that you believe in, whether it's vouchers or whether it's teacher efficiency, whether it's spending policies, if there's an area that you believe in, we cover it. So I look forward to your questions and meeting you afterwards, and hopefully letting you know more about Students First.
Thank you so much, Mike. I support their efforts wholeheartedly, and the three things that you talked about, identifying effective teachers, empowering parents, and spending wisely, we need tremendous help from you on, because I think in all three of those areas, even though we have had some improvement, we talked about the new evaluation system, it's not really working like it was intended. The outcomes aren't producing a good identification process of poor performing teachers. It's essentially about the same as the old system, so it needs to be honed, because we really need to identify people that should not be in the classroom and support those who should be. I think it's a fail, and I think all three of those areas where we're not doing well on, it's because of our state. I believe our state has failed to provide you quality service in those three areas, because they have not effectively implemented a new teacher evaluation system. They've got a new one, but it's not effectively implemented. That's on the state DOE. They have not been spending your money wisely. You have to ask yourself, how did you get a county of DeKalb with the state sending half of the budget to DeKalb to spend? Why did they continue sending the money and not holding people accountable for the outcomes on how they spend it? So I think that our Department of Education needs a big reform. They're not transparent. When you've got information that's 2 years old, that's the most current information you can get financially in your district. That's not transparent, and that's not, you can't even defend that from a technology standpoint. And empowering parents, I don't see very much of that going on either. I think they protect the administrative class. And sadly, I don't think they do right by teachers either. So they really protect the administrative class. They let that group of people grow much. We talked about that earlier. A larger percentage of growth there than in student enrollment or teacher growth as well. So I am looking forward to Students First efforts on those two things, because we need some big improvement, and that's a heavy lift. I always say, if we could get us to 25, if we could be in the middle of the pack, that's a heavy lift. That would be a huge success. And I look forward to the efforts of Charter Schools Movement and Students First in making that happen in Georgia.